But
that's not why they vomit.
Well,
but they,
do they vomit because cognitively they're thinking, I ate too many calories, I'm going to get fat?
That's in the beginning, yes.
In the beginning, yes.
Beginning, yes. In the beginning, universally, they think, and it's mostly college students or young. They could be
slightly younger, yeah.
Young women,
right?
Who think they can still eat and get the satisfaction of eating by just vomiting. Mm-hmm. And for most people, that semi works because it's because it hasn't been absorbed yet. There are some problems with using it for weight control because just like the Chinese food, you're going to be hungry after a while.
Right.
If you keep doing that.
And if you do it for a really long time, stuff like, you'll hurt your throat.
Well,
and you'll get bad teeth from the acid and stuff.
Well, you get bad teeth from it because the acid in your stomach. Yeah, no, absolutely. Bulimics get that.
Yeah.
So and it's been said a long time, mm-hmm. and that's in the literature and people will say that it's like I started doing that and now I can't stop. So it's very much like an addiction.
Okay.
It has that quality to it. Do it anyway.
Right. So.
What does it mean?
The question is, let me ask one more question before you.
And that becomes the phenomenon to try to understand.
Right. If they don't feel full, mm-hmm. Why?
They do want the positive feeling of eating plenty.
Right, but if you never were satiated, it wouldn't be a positive feeling.
Oh, I don't know, because just the eating and swallowing and all that, and the taste and everything is positive. They can feel full eventually. That is true.
Okay, so
and so and then you do something which is a little bit negative, and that's vomit. Mm-hmm. But interestingly, that only is fairly short-lived. In fact, you'll see why that becomes almost positive, the vomiting.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me.
And they say that.
They do.
So after a while, and when it's really established, is a lot of times they say, really eat to vomit.
I eat to vomit.
Yes. And they know how to do that.
Okay.
Okay. So what could the mechanism, what could be the mechanism? Well, you figure satiety is almost entirely goes from the vagus. That's the primary afferent. That's the primary afferent nerve for all viscera. The largest nerve in the body, and most information from the viscera, even pain. But except the pain has another pathway that goes to the somatosensory system. But the real pain in
I want to do the pain threshold study later. So don't go off on pain.
All right.
Just stick with the balloon study. Now we'll do the pain later. See what I'm saying?
So
I'm just saying, slow down on the pain. Let's just get back started to the balloon study. Let's say start with going back and talking about the vagus nerve with respect to the balloon study. So you've got this very important vagus nerve.
So you've got the vagus nerve, and you say, well, it must not. The vagus must not be sending that information. It's actually interesting. There are more afferents than there are efferents in terms of numbers of fibers.
That's interesting.
So more information, but
it's so easy to see how misinterpretations couldn't just happen.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Okay, so keep going.
All right. So
here I can. I'll get us back on track. Now I recall you told me a story once about a study you guys were doing that involved what I was calling balloons, but they were actually condoms because they're the right kind of elasticity.
we were doing those all along in the beginning.
Tell me what that is.
Well, we were
because you haven't said.
Yes, I did. I've said that we had those balloons there, and then found out that the stomach dilates.
Okay, so tell me what happened there. So how did that experiment come about? And then
we were trying to understand the physiology of the vagus, and it wasn't at all clear for most of the things that you read.
Okay.
Because most of the things that you read in terms of the explanations for dieting and stuff like that was using this pressure
Right, because that's
And
what it feels.
It does feel that way, but when it feels like you're going to pop,
It
you're
feels
not
like you're
really
gonna
going to. That's just it's stretched, and it's not even stretched to the to the maximum.
max possible.
It's just the max for that size of a meal, and for that
Based on what it's used to doing.
For the capacity is about 1.5 liters of the stomach, and of the most biggest of meal normally that you eat would be 600 or 700 ml. That's about half full, and so to get to like the lady with the chicken. You've got to eat twice that much.
That's just incredible.
It is really incredible. And she did have something really wrong. And I don't know what the history turned out. They got her.
They probably
so she
gave her
could breathe.
antidepressants or something.
They probably did. Maybe that helped. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. So, all right. So tell me about the condom study.
Okay. Well, what we did.
So
was
what were you faced with before the experiment? And what
we were doing. I don't know. We were trying to figure out. What we want. The idea was that we could then show that that their pressure didn't go up when the bulimics didn't have a proper satiation because the pressure didn't go up.
Okay, so let me just reiterate so that this is clear. So you're working with the idea that satiation involves this increase in pressure, and you want to see, you want to show in your study that the problem with why bulimics don't feel satiated is because for them, the pressure doesn't go up the way pressure does go up in normals. So first you needed to study the normals, and then you were going to study the bulimics. You were going to see if there was a difference in the pressure, and maybe that could be the explanation for why bulimics don't feel satiated. So you studied with normals, right? So you started with this study with normals, and you did it with normals.
That's right. So we did normals, and the pressure didn't even go up.
The pressure didn't even go up.
It was like 2 centimeters of water, which is just you can hardly even. That's the kind of pressure changes there are. It's a couple of centimeters of water, not millimeters of mercury. So normal air pressure is 32 feet of water. And it's like that much water. That's no pressure at all.
Right.
You expected to see, and when we would, well, anyway. So,
what did you actually?
So we
do?
actually
took a bunch of normal people.
So they were normal
Did you
people.
put a condom in their stomach?
Well, not only a condom, but a condom hooked to something slightly smaller than a joke that goes along with it. Slightly smaller than a garden hose, because it had a lot of tubes going in and out to make measurements.
Okay.
And so they swallowed that, and then I had a huge syringe that I could fill it up.
And you got volunteers to swallow something?
The guy that did it was a gastrointestinal guy, and he was working on the study with us. He was a surgeon, gastrosurgeon, and he put those tubes down. They had to use that tube years ago, and so we used the tube he did, and he was used to that. But he was used to having tubes down to see things.
Right.
So he was used to passing things, and he knew how to do that.
Okay.
And
that's just incredible.
Well, it is, but it was really big. It's amazing
these
that you can do
people
it.
with the tube in there, and you were there with a big old syringe like Frankenstein.
That's a shake. But I said these were just young girls, and they just swallowed those tubes. They didn't have any problem with it.
All right, so you had these normals, right? And what you were trying to figure out was, is this
Well, it turned out that
is this story about pressure right?
And they didn't even know anything. They didn't even know normal stomach physiology at all, because I think regular physiology doesn't go into those details.
Okay.
But it was very available once we knew what we were looking for.
Okay.
But it was kind of hard to show, and people were amazed that we could actually show that reflex.
Okay.
But I could pump in 200 or 300 ml of water because we had a syringe this big.
Jesus Christ.
With warm water.
Oh,
and
for sure.
And I could kind of put it in as fast or slow as I wanted. And I was watching the pressure then, and that blew my mind. I started pushing, expecting it to go up, and it went down.
It went down. You're on the other end with a massive syringe to a teenage girl staring at the meter. You're pumping water in, and what the heck? The pressure's going down?
Yeah, there was even a paper showed it going up in a psychiatric literature. Someone had sort of tried to do that, and obviously they didn't do it. They didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't know what they were doing.
And they just faked it.
They faked it. God. All right. So then you realized...
That's the difference between a real scientist and a psychiatrist.
So, okay. So
anyway,
the balloon
let me
study
just tell you
showed...
some of the interesting things we found in the study.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, one was the dilation thing, but we also had an EEG on them.
Okay.
And so we showed that they started going to sleep when we stimulated the stomach. When we pushed that in there, we started getting sleepy.
Through the EEG you showed.
Through the EEG. And that showed that is a vagal effect. Not most people say it's tryptophan. That you get sleepy after
because
you
of
eat.
turkey.
Because
the turkey dinner thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you don't
Everybody
get the
takes a nap.
You don't get the and animals take a nap when they eat.
Yeah.
And that probably is that's physiological. It's not due to tryptophan, which is sedative, but that takes several hours. This happens right when you're doing it.
Right.
This is just as you're pumping it in there, you see the brain just starting to slow down. Well, it's getting ready.
It's getting ready to digest.
It's getting ready to digest, and we're going to go to a place where they're not in danger, and
sit there and enjoy.
And enjoy the whole deal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's another. So what else?
Okay.
Were you able to show with the balloon study? I know you showed. Let me just ask the question. I know you showed that it's not a pressure. The pressure theory is wrong.
Yes.
Did that also somehow show that what really happens is that the stomach expands or stretches to what it's used
to? The satiety has to do with volume, not pressure.
Okay.
And we showed that.
You did. Okay.
We did because they felt I would do it till they felt full.
And they would tell you, "I feel full."
And can you take a little bit more? No, I'm really. Oh, boy, I'm just too full. But there was no 2 or 3 centimeters of water pressure, but the volume had increased.
Okay, so you were filling their stomachs with water?
Mm-hmm. No, just filling the balloon with water.
Oh, the balloon.
Right.
Of course.
And
That's
it was warm water, so it just expanded the stomach.
Okay.
Water never got into their system.
Right, but they would say that they were, I'm really full. And the pressure had hardly gone up at all, but there was a lot of volume.
A lot of volume, that's exactly right.
I wish you had done a qualitative study to ask them about their eating habits, because I bet you time of day all match.
Say when you feel like you've had a Thanksgiving dinner is what we would often say. When it gets that full.
Tell us.
Yeah, that would be sure. That's right. Is it like the Thanksgiving dinner yet?
No, it's more like.
Yeah, that was not a perfect one because I like to eat enough. A lot of people don't eat until they're so stuffed at a Thanksgiving dinner. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I did. I had to open my belt and things like that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think people know
and you can see that. That's to give room for the volume.
It's the volume.
Because it's starting to increase the pressure.
That's yeah, but hardly at all.
But hardly at all.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. So that the condom study showed those 2 things.
Yeah.
What else? Besides the fact that you also get sleepy.
Okay, that was
away.
That was the EEG.
Right.
Okay.
Then what else did you do with those tubes?
We were doing a PET study at the same time.
Okay.
To see the activities in the various parts of the brain where the activity was occurring.
Okay.
And we showed those areas because we had maps of what was being activated in the brain.
Okay.
And there's paper on that.
Okay. And do you think that those areas are the areas that connect to the vagus nerve?
They're visceral areas.
They
absolutely.
are visceral.
And even the cortical areas that's sort of the final areas. They're all in the prefrontal cortex. It's way down underneath in the front of the cortex. That's the cortex for the viscera.
Okay. And anything else from the tube study? From the tube study with normals?
Yeah, and it was all with normals. We did one bulimic, and that was instructive.
Well, this is the thing about the bulimic one I was going to ask you, because they were saying they don't. You had a theory that they can't feel full. So it seems like if you give them these tubes, you really could tell if they could feel full or not.
Which what we wanted to do.
Okay, so first let's stick with the normals.
Okay.
You got the PET, the EEG, the volume, not pressure. Was there anything else that the tube study with the normal kids showed?
No, that was the main thing, because I was measuring pressure, volume, and
EEG and PET.
EEG, PEG, and their words of whether they were full.
Whether they were full
Yeah.
or not. Okay. So, and then I guess the idea was, well, now let's do it with bulimics and see
See if they don't feel full.
if they don't feel full.
Yeah, because it was volume. It didn't. That was a minor thing.
Right.
We knew that take more volume to make them feel fuller, because the
What
bulimias
happened?
eventually get full.
Did
we
you
only
get
did one.
to do the study?
We only did one.
Okay.
And that was one of our best patients. She still writes me letters. She's so happy she had it really bad. She was fairly young.
Okay.
She swallowed the tube no problem whatsoever.
Okay.
And I started filling it up.